Check, check. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. I'm Benji Messer, music director. I use he, him pronouns. Our monthly hymn, thank you, sir. Our monthly hymn for December is the chant, Gathered Here. And I'd like to teach you some motions that go with the lyrics that I've seen on the... Well, actually, let's sing it once. Danny, let's get the lyrics up there. It goes like this. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. This is our monthly hymn for December, and the motions I've seen with it before. Gathered here is drawing your arms in the mystery of the hour. It's like this. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. This is from Grease, the musical. And then Spirit, draw near. Let's try that. Everyone, please feel free to rise in body and spirit. Let's chant this a few times. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Thank you so much. Please remain standing for our chalice lighting.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Giovanna Palumbo, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm your worship associate today. Join me as we recite our covenant and Mr. Robert light our chalice. If you're watching remotely and you have a chalice with you, please light it with us. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. Build together in peace, to seek justice and freedom, to share strength and fellowship. Thus do we come. Thank you.
You may be seated. Good morning. And welcome home, and welcome to worship. Welcome to you all, no matter where you come from, how you worship, how you love or identify. No matter who you are welcome here. Welcome as we explore the mysteries of the hour, of our human experience, and of this sacred place of community. We're so glad you are here. I'm the Reverend Christine Dance. I use she and her pronouns, and it is an honor to serve as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. We strive to be a spiritual community for our time that is theologically diverse, radically inclusive, and justice-centered. If you are new here, we are so glad you found us. I met a number of new people coming in today. Would you take a moment to stand so that we could see who you are? If you are comfortable, or you could wave, there was a number of you here. Yeah. Thank you. Folks around them, please make sure to talk to them after service, during service, around now. It's all good. We do. It's all comfortable. We hope that you and this community, newcomers, can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Each Sunday is different here, so please come back a few times to really get to know us. And if you want to learn something today, we have a Get to Know UUCP session right after service today. Here at UUCP, we put our mission into action when we discover together what it means to be human. We have a couple of announcements about the different ways we are embracing joy and defining our future. Today, during the holiday season, our UUCP refugee team encourages you to participate in our effort to provide continuing welcome and support for the Hamidis family. It is a family of 11 who arrived in Afghanistan of May, and this congregation and wonderful members of our team have sponsored them. They're making excellent progress in adapting to life in this country with jobs and school and learning English, but they have many needs for their daily life. There is a table with a Christmas tree and a picture back there where you can buy gift cards and things to help make a contribution of gift cards or funds to share in this season of giving, and we are giving that to the Hamidis family this year. Also, big today, a very big thing. It's a wonderful time to get to know these newcomers. Thousands of asylum seekers are held in 3 detention centers in Arizona, and today we are making holiday cards for them. So your card will likely be the only gift from the outside that this person receives this season, and will likely be displayed and shared among themselves. Please take a few moments. This is the day that we're doing this. It's a really important effort to do. And now, let us draw deeper into our present moment, into our sense of community and our spirit of worship.
Join us as we explore what it means to people of resilience. Our opening words are from the poem Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with a certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds in the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame I'll rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping with wide welling and swelling bare in the tide. Leaving behind nights, oh shoot. Hold on, I lost it. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise. Into the daybreak that's wondrously clear I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
We invite all of our children of all ages, anyone who wants to come up for a story. We have our Director of Children's Ministry, Katie Resendez, who's going to share a story with us.
Good morning, everyone. As people start to take their seats up here, use it as an opportunity to stretch and bend your body here and there. I will tell you that this morning, a lot of our kiddos are invested in coloring envelopes to go to the immigration detainees. So know that you can also join that activity at the back table during service or after service as well. Still I rise. Imagine that you can draw back, not just in your own life and your own history, but the history of your ancestors to pull strength and images and dreams and hope. You get to pull on all of those and find the most powerful, meaningful pieces and own them and put them into your lives. Last week, Isabel told an amazing story about a UU ancestor. Does anyone remember? It was about Hosea Ballou, and it required pouring water on Johnny's head, yeah? Okay. It was about muddy feet and the concept of universal salvation. And as Unitarian Universalists, we take that concept as part of our way to center love. And we use it to center love. And today I want to think about how we do that while reaching back to our ancestors and finding comfort from our ancestors. Not just inspiration. Oftentimes, we'll hear people, especially if you're a person of color, like I am, you will be told that you have to make your ancestors proud, or your parents proud, or your grandparents proud, and it gets heavier and heavier, right? But the other thing is our ancestors also taught us how to cook really good food. They also taught us how to crochet and make our favorite blankets, and we find comfort in them. So I want to introduce you to some of our ancestors that we've embodied in the what is this room called? The sanctuary, a little bit. These are 3 seat buddies who live at the back shelf back there, and all of their names are of UU ancestors. So this one is Buckminster Cashin, and many of you know how much I adore Buckminster Fuller. This one is Alondria Seeger, and this one, you'll recognize one of the names from last week, is Harper Ballou. These are some of our ancestors that can comfort us, especially if we're feeling funny in our seats during worship. But today, I want to talk about another UU ancestor who we can draw some power from. Also, hi Leo, how are you? Good, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see all of you. It's December and everyone's coming back. So nice. Reverend Carlton Pearson was born in 1953. And see, when he was a young man, he went to university and studied his religion. He spent his entire college time sinking deeply into his faith. And his faith was Christianity. Remember those people of the Bible who follow Christ as their primary leader and prophet? He studied Christ. He studied Christianity, he studied biblical teachings, and he studied how to be a preacher. And he was a damn good preacher. Emphasis both on damn and good, and I'll explain in a second. By the time he finished his studies there, it was clear that he was going to be a leader. He was so charismatic. He could take his energy for stories and words and passions and conduct an entire room of emotion, as if I could make you all feel one thing. But this man was amazing. He preached to a church that he had formed of 6,000 members. 6,000 people each Sunday. So imagine every seat in this room is full of 48 people. 6,000 people every Sunday. And because of his faith, and because of how Christianity was shaped at the time, and evangelism, which is the type of Christianity he was part of, a lot of his preaching focused on eternal salvation, heaven, and also eternal damnation, hell. Because in his community, they believed that after you died, whether you went to one place or the other depended on your choices and your behaviors. And so every single Sunday, he would get up and preach to people about how their behaviors that week or in the coming weeks would determine where they went for the rest of all time, which is a pretty intense thing to teach people. But see, just like us in our Unitarian Universalist faith, Reverend Carlton Pearson valued learning and valued growing and centered love. And as he continued to preach those things and feel them, his feelings started to change and shift. And one of the most amazing things about the human heart and the human brain and our Unitarian Universalist values is that we can shift and change. And we can grow into a better way to center love. And he did that growing. Because you see, after years and years and years and lots and lots of dollars of preaching to 6,000 people a Sunday, can you imagine? Actually, you'd probably do fine preaching to 6,000. I've seen you speak. After years of that, he decided that it was uncomfortable. He said, I got real tired of damning my friends to hell every week. Whew. Can you imagine feeling like that was your job? Was to tell other people what they were doing wrong all the time. He said he got tired of it, and he had been watching the news and learning about suffering in the world, and one of the most basic questions for people who believe in that decision point between heaven and hell is who deserves one or the other, and why? And as UUs, especially UU kids, we don't always cope with that question. It's not a question for us. But it is for them, and it's a really important one. And he started to question whether or not being Christian, or being a good Christian, or maybe even Muslims and Jews could go to heaven. And as he started to open that space in his mind, it also opened a space in his heart. And to be able to figure out that love is expansive, and maybe, just maybe, nobody goes to hell? And I want you to reach back to last week when we talked about universal salvation. And we talked about it as a UU root. Reverend Carlton Pearson was a Christian man who said, this also aligns with my values, my understanding of the Bible, and who I am, and the faith that he had studied so much. He said, maybe none of us go to hell. Maybe we are all worthy of love, and we are all worthy of salvation. Saying those words got him named a heretic, someone who said things that were against the religion. He was told he was no longer allowed to preach. He was shunned. Eventually, his church closes down because the numbers go down. But he starts a new church. And he gains thousands of followers who are able to grow their understanding of their faith as Christians with this idea of salvation. Right? And it's amazing to see how this community grew. It grew fast and it grew strong, and it was very powerful. And as we as Unitarian Universalists step into this next phase of examining our values and our principles and our beliefs, I want us to see it as that opening in our minds and our hearts that he was feeling. Because if we can reach back and draw on that from him, we will be so strong and powerful as we take this next step. Because we can find that spot where love is centered and all of our other values surround us. Reverend Carlton Pearson died on October 19th of this year. He was an amazing, amazing man. I had an opportunity to spend some time with him a few times, and I really encourage all of you to look at his life and look at what he did, and what does it mean when your heart changes and you've been leading other people? And how do you take that shift with you? Because all of you are powerful enough to do that. So, thank you.
Each week, we split our offering plate with UUCP and a local organization that shares our values. For December 2023, our Share the Plate partner is Housing First, part of the Human Services Campus. Housing First recognizes we can't serve our unhoused population with housing only. Services are needed too. Using the power of collaboration to create solutions and end houselessness, innovation. The organization is guided by their belief in dignity, diversity, innovation, creativity, empowerment, community responsibility, and collaboration. For all that you give, we are so grateful. Ushers, thank you for your willing hands in helping us pass the plate.
Benji, can you come on up here? Our music director, who can lead us in hand motions for an opening hymn and then turn to George Michael for an offering. It's pretty amazing. We want to talk to you a little bit about what's going to be happening the next few months after December. There's a Yugoslavian proverb that says, "A good rest is half the work." Sabbatical leave is a tradition, an honoring. It's a gift and something that is well-deserved for religious professionals in Unitarian Universalism. It has extended a time away for study, reflection, rest, and renewal, and every now and then it helps us to keep us fresh and able to serve this beloved community. Until a few years ago, I was the only one that was eligible for, or the minister at the time, for sabbaticals. But our board extended it to all of our program leaders, like our director of children's ministries and our music director. Benji Messer has been here for 10 years and will be which, if we looked retroactively, would have qualified him for a sabbatical 5 years ago. But he will be going on sabbatical this spring and summer. He'll be leaving on January 1st and will be back on August 1st. During that time, Benji will be taking a complete break from the roles and responsibilities of music director, including being in touch with all of us and us emailing him at all times, texting, doing all that. we're going to take a break from that too. I hope that you share with me the excitement and pride that we have in being able to offer our professional staff this time to rest, reflect, grow, and contemplate. And because Benji is Benji, there's been a full plan for this in place for months. So Benji, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this will go?
Thank you, Christine, and thank you, everyone. I have total confidence that you'll be very happy with the music program while I'm off relaxing and writing music. Let me show you the wonderful folks who will be keeping music going this summer, or this spring and summer. So Susan Morris and Donna Featherston are members of the congregation, very committed. They've been here longer than 10 years, I imagine. And they will be the closest to being me in terms of being the hub of the music program that coordinates everything else. They will handle scheduling, they'll handle music selection with all of the various artists and musicians, communication, problem solving. They're the ones to talk to about how great things are going.
Yes.
Next slide, please. Jessica Elder will be our sabbatical choir director. Jessica is the choral director at the Arizona School for the Arts. She is also a wonderful trained vocalist and pianist who helps her husband with music and worship at his church music job. I don't remember what the congregation is. And she knows us and is fond of us because her kids went to kids camp years ago. So she's very happy to be here. Nicole Pesci will be our artist in residence. Yeah, so for those who don't know, Nicole is one of the most sought-after pianists in Phoenix. She was, the funny term, she was made famous as the human iPod back when that was a meaningful metaphor, because she already had a good 100,000 songs memorized and ready to play. She's just one of those folks. So she will be doing 16 services this spring and summer. Particularly over the summer when it's a little harder to marshal our congregational resources. Danny Doyle, our audiovisual lead up in the loft there. Danny has already been responsible for video and streaming since we started that position. He's done a wonderful, wonderful job. He will be stepping up to oversee all of UUCP's audiovisual support, including sound, video, Zoom, and our YouTube teams. And then there are folks who are already doing a lot, and of course they'll continue doing their work. Arson Nalbandian will continue accompanying our choir. Charlotte Carl Mitchell will continue welcoming new folks to the choir and sort of doing the logistical management, the non-musical work in choir, or much of it. Carrie Lifshitz will continue supervising our worship script, which I have fallen into doing quite a bit of, so thank you, Carrie. And our worship associates will be helping to choose hymns for the services they lead, particularly over the summer when other folks are away. And then your lead minister, Reverend Christine Dance, will supervise everybody I've mentioned, and she will also be in charge of coordinating music for memorial services and weddings and special events that are sort of outside of the worship calendar. So I think you'll do great. There is a longer document with details about exactly what each of these folks' duties are so that there's no confusion. I'm not going to show that to you now. But if you're interested, there will be a link to it in Compass, and you're welcome to read it just to get a sense of what I do here. So again, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity.
Yeah. I love this congregation so very much. He's not gone yet. We're going to make him really want the sabbatical by putting him through. There are 8 services left in December. His final service will be on Christmas Eve. Not Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. Thank you. That's actually what I meant. Thank you, Benji. and we can't wait to send you off, and I can't wait for you all to experience just how much Benji does. It is an important practice in this community to make time to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this with our stories, which matter, and one of the ways that we gain resilience is by sharing these stories with each other. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or with tears, all of you matters. If you are on Zoom and would like to share a joy or sorrow, please type it into the chat with a brief note. I will read out loud what you've got, and we have brand new Joys and Sorrows cards in the back with some guidelines on what that is, and there's more on Encompass, and we would like to share those as a sacred time. So let us just center ourselves with a moment of stillness and gather our thoughts. I'd like to start by inviting Brigida Vieira up, please. I didn't warn you, and I'm sorry. The first joy and sorrow is from Brigida, who uses she and her pronouns. For those of you who don't know, Brigida is our ministerial intern this year, and on Friday she had a very, 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 very big day. She had, and I'll read what she said, Brigida had a supportive interview with the credentialing body for the Unitarian Universalist Ministry, and will be entering preliminary fellowship upon completing her internship. The panel saw what we saw, which is a minister. Yes. Congratulations, Brigida. I'm all verklempt from that. From our online folks, from Chris Fallon, grateful that my surgery is over and I am doing well, and I will be seeing my UU family in person next Sunday. Chris, we can't wait to have you back. Carly says, after months of unemployment, I am starting a great new job tomorrow. Congratulations, Carly. From Pierre Theriault here. Pierre, I know I saw you. There you are. Pierre said, my surviving brother John just told me that he married his wonderful partner, Alexandria. This is special for our family as we have had multiple losses, and John himself has a chronic illness. Yay, John and Alex. And a sorrow from Val Wiley. Where is Val? Right there. Val says, my oldest, closest friend in Wisconsin died this week after complications with Parkinson's. We are sending you love, and all who loved your friend care right now. For all of the joys and sorrows in our hearts and in our lives, let us send our love to each other here in the room, those online, knowing that we are together in this, we are resilient in this, and we are loved. Now let us take a moment to enter into the spirit of meditation and prayer. Relax and settle into this present moment. Take some breaths if that grounds you. Be aware of your body. For this meditation, it's a little different because I want us to consider who we are and where we come from. We are not here out of nowhere. Whether our family is biological, adopted, or chosen, we are who we are because of those who came before us. I am Christine Dance. I am the daughter of Judith Patricia Bonnick Mawhinney. She is the daughter of Edith Juanita May Bonnick. And she is the daughter of Azalee May Dance. There is power in naming who you are from who you come from. However you define your family, I invite you to name in your head or whisper in your breath who you come from. Let us sit with that in for a moment. Now, as you are willing and able, and only if you wish, you can sit in quietness and just rest your hands and close your eyes if you don't want to talk to a neighbor. But if you wish, turn to a neighbor and name those names where you come from. No commentary, no descriptions, no how are you, just name. Feel the power of naming it. I will give about 3 minutes for you and your partner to speak it to each other. I hope that by speaking their names into this room, you feel the power of their lives and their histories here with us. We are not the first to go through these lives. We are not the first to go through hard times. We are not the first to experience great joys and deep heartbreak. We come from long lines of people who have been through all the trials and tribulations that being human has brought. Let us take a moment to soak in the resilience that comes from those who helped form us. Amen, and blessed be.
Please join us in We Are by Esai Barnwell. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We're mothers of courage and fathers of time, daughters of dust and sons of great vision, sisters of mercy and brothers of love, lovers of life and builders of nations, seekers of truth and keepers of faith, makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Please be seated, everyone.
I've been through tons of difficult times. Some are actual difficult times, while others are just my teenage brain overreacting. We've all been there. Yeah. Yeah. I've had a lot of struggles lately. I've struggled with eating properly, looking into the mirror in my bedroom and feeling sad, and loving myself. I try to be very open about how I'm feeling with my dad, but there's some things I know I don't know how to communicate about. Yeah. I don't like to dwell on things that make me sad, though. I like to surround myself with people because when I'm alone, that's when I start thinking negative things about myself, such as I can't wear clothes in the junior section anymore when last year I could, or people won't like me unless I look a certain way. Being in therapy for 14 years, I try to say positive things about myself in the mornings before I go to bed, and before I go to bed. It works in the moment, but not long term. So how do I find strength? I haven't yet, and that's okay. I don't have to have everything figured out. I'm only 16 as of last Saturday, after all. Some things I've learned from therapy that help I'd like to share with you. I'm currently learning about opposite action. This means that when I'm sad or angry about how I look or anything else, I do something that'll make me feel better. That can include watching my favorite show or listening to my favorite song. Those only help in the moment, but deep down I still feel the sadness. I try to communicate about it, but all I get is, no, you're not fat, or your weight is average for your height. That hurts me even more because in the moment it feels true and is validating to hear, but then later on I feel more upset that I'm not being heard. I struggle. I struggle a lot. And I haven't found a solution to my struggles, and that's okay. Not everything has to have a perfect end. Thank you.
There's a song in our hymnal that was inspired by a philosophical painting by the French artist Paul Gauguin. Can we put that painting up, please? Yep, one moment. No worries. I'll tell you about it. It's a big painting. It takes up a lot of space, and it's very wide from one side to the other. And it's symbolic, and you read it right to left. Oh, wonderful. There we go. Danny, can we make that like a lower half below the choir so people can just study it the whole time we're performing? All right, awesome. It's the right side represents birth. You can see there's a baby over there, and then the center represents life, and on this side are folks nearing death. And in the upper left corner is written in French, where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? So this song is based on that painting.
Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are Life is a riddle and a mystery.
I am Christine Dance. I am the daughter of Judy Bonnick Mawhinney. She is the daughter of Nita Mae Bonnick, and she is the daughter of Azalee Dance. I found this very powerful to say. I hope you did too. As someone who identifies as a woman in particular, it is powerful to name my matrilineal heritage. I heard some of you naming all kinds of ways of naming that lineage. It's powerful to remember where I come from. And in saying their names, I remember their stories. Especially, I remember the struggles that they went through. Because really, some of our best stories, don't they come from our struggles? Growing up, my grandmother, which is the Nita in this story, or Edith Juanita, as she was named, she told me stories about her childhood. I heard very glowing stories. I heard that she got to attend a prestigious boarding school for girls in Louisiana. I learned that that was where she learned how to play violin and drink tea and learn how to be a proper woman, and she mingled with girls who had privilege and access. There are a lot of oohs and ahs over art and music and culture. This was very important to her, something that was so important to her that, of course, my mother rebelled against it. And then I did even more so. It wasn't until I was much older and she had died that I heard the rest of the story. She didn't get sent to this boarding school. She and her sister Naftel and her mother Azalee worked there. More specifically, they were the cleaning staff. She was surrounded by these people, but she worked for them. I sometimes think about what that must have been like for her. Was she teased? Was it just all aspirational? Did she get to participate? Were people kind to her? I imagine what she was wearing and whether it fit in or not. I've thought about how she acted and how important that might have been for her because she was straddling very different worlds. But that's not even the most interesting part about her story. The school fell on hard times, as did much during the Great Depression, and it closed. Azalee and her daughters had no place to go. That was when I learned about Mr. May. Azalee had to swallow her pride and wrote to the man that she was still married to, who was now living in Washington State, and said that she and the girls needed to come home. He agreed, as long as she and the girls acted as housekeepers for him and his mistress. And no, I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine that at all. I can't imagine the train ride that they had to pay for themselves up to Washington State. I can't imagine the anger, the shame, the desperation of having to live that life. I think of them all when I am going through hard times. I think of my grandmother on the other side, who had twin sons while her husband was serving in the Navy. One of those twin sons was my father. She was on the 3rd floor of the apartment, and the rolling washing machine was in the basement. And the simple act of carrying her babies and her laundry down into the basement of the apartment where she was so she could do the wash, so that they could have clean diapers by herself. Much different than a story on the other side, but still, I think of that often. I think of her when I am going through hard times. All of this reminds me that I come from resilient people. It reminds me that our times are not the first that were hard. It reminds me that I am not alone in my struggles, that I come from a cloud of witnesses who have had their own pasts. I am finding that I need to draw on my stores of this resilience when the world seems chaotic and full of hurt. When there is war and climate change and division and unease, I am drawing on this resilience. And it is particular in this season as well. This upcoming holiday season is joyful for many, but it is also busy and brings its own share of stress and chaos. And for some who are estranged or missing someone or who are lonely, it can be a very painful time of year. For any number of reasons, right now, resilience is something that many of us are searching for in these times. So here's the thing. I can draw on that resilience from my grandma Nita without necessarily always liking her. I wasn't close with her. In fact, she was pretty mean. She was classist, as I said before. She was mean to my mother, and she gave me Dove soap every Christmas for about a decade because she didn't think I kept myself clean enough. It's okay, I've done the therapy, I'm okay. She was openly racist to members of my family. And she never knew I was a lesbian. I don't even know where that might have gone. So I wasn't necessarily close with her, but knowing her story, I can understand where some of those things come from, even if I cannot condone it. I know she probably did the best that she could out of an extreme childhood. My mother took the lessons that she could out of that and moved her life forward. Okay, well, maybe she overcorrected a little bit. And then hopefully I picked up from her and made my own healings, although I'm sure that my children can offer you a long list of the places that they are healing from my journey. I know that what all of them lived through, a piece of it, and I can acknowledge that we are all flawed and doing the best that we can. I carry all of their experiences with me. If you will, this service is a continuation of our service where we remembered our ancestors, but we're doing it through the lens of seeing where they got their resilience and learning how we can use it in our challenging times. This is very relevant to us as Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a living faith where we draw from the courage, the experience, and the traditions of those who came before us, but we also adapt to current times, challenges, and social situations. We are who we are because of the Unitarians and the Universalists who came before us. Their free thinking, their use of reason, they're full of love and accepting faiths. But we can also acknowledge that, like our families, they were not perfect. While we have some heroic figures who worked for the abolition of slavery and the civil rights era, we also have some really awful histories in our faith of how we upheld slavery and segregation, even in our more recent history. We have failed both in our actions and our lack of actions to support our indigenous siblings as the combinations of manifest destiny and colonialization and industrialization forced out people who belonged on this land. We were big in the suffrage movement, but some of the key Unitarian leaders advocated for not including Black women in that movement so they could move it forward. Having this honest understanding, not from shame, but in naming that people were doing the best peopling that they thought they could do with their own histories, their own flaws, their own humanness, is important. It's critical as we do the work of dismantling racism and all of the other oppressions in our world. It is important to have an honest exploration of the people who preceded us. I think many of us divide ourselves into two categories of ancestors, those who lived through slavery or those who perpetuated it, or those who lived through another oppression and those who perpetuated it. But our histories are usually so much more complicated than that. It's so much more nuanced. And grappling with both the resiliency and the mistakes gives us a more nuanced way to ground ourselves in the work of dismantling the systems that formed us. Many on the right don't want to look at these stories because they don't want their children to feel shame about their histories. I am not advocating for us to have shame either. That is not a helpful tool. What I want is us to encourage each other to look with appreciation and honesty and from a lens of resilience, and decide the stories we want to be told about ourselves going forward. What kind of people do we want to be? So in these challenging times and in this hectic time of the year, I encourage you to remember where you come from. What are the stories that shaped you? What are the stories and the messages that you got that still lights for how to live? And what are some of the ones that you maybe went a different direction? Where can you draw from what your ancestors went through, who they were, how they shaped you, to draw strength and commitment? May you know that you and those who formed you got through a lot of difficult times, and you will still in the future, as well as all of those who follow you. And may you know that you and those who formed you experienced so much joy as well. And so will you and those who follow you. We are connected through these people, through our experience of being human. May their resilience shape ours, and may we carry that joy forward. knowing it was not given freely, or it was not given without constraints, and yet we share it freely with the world.
Thank you, Rev. Christine. So we close with a song called This Joy by the gospel singer Shirley Caesar. And it sings of how the joy and strength that we inherit can stay with us. It goes kind of like this. Some of you may remember us sharing a video of this song during COVID lockdown when our services were only available on Zoom. Let's rise in body and spirit. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. And this peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This peace that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. And this strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. And this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
Stay standing. Oh, the world, the joy, all of this is ours. Come, continue to be human with us. Remember that the cards making for the refugees will be right here. Remember to say hi to all of our newcomers. They're wonderful. And the adult and children's activities, including Get to Know You UCP, start at noon. May you know that you are made from stardust. Stardust that has been through times of challenge. May you feel held by those who have gone before you. May you find peace in this busy season. And may you know deeply that you are loved. Go in peace, go in love, and a lot of resilience.